Why am I not hearing shit?
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're live with Neve.
My God, where are these people? My goodness. Hello and welcome to Live with Neve. Yes, where are we? We're here behind the glass, the man behind the curtain. Happy Saturday to everyone, or Sunday if you're down in the Antipodes. I have a friend of mine who's online from New Zealand, and the question I have for myself and everybody who's ever watched this show is, why is it that we get better internet service coverage out of New Zealand here than we do from New York City across the harbor? Mysteries abound in the world of fun and broadcast. Today, a friend of mine who is just a killer saxophone player, and that's all I can say. We're going to have him on. He's going to play something. I'm going to talk to him and let him do most of the talking, which is rare, as you know. First off, I listened to this guy when I was a young guy, and he's in the Maynard Ferguson band. And being a jazz kid, that was just the best stuff back when I was in high school. And I listened to him many times. And back then I was a drummer, so I was always paying attention to the great drummers he'd have. I loved all the horn parts. I loved everybody in any band he ever had. They were all, superlative musicians. But today we have the pleasure of having Brian Smith. He's from New Zealand, down under. And I believe they're coming out of winter, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to bring on Brian without any further ado. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm excellent. How are you? You look great.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. And we are sort of supposed to be coming out of winter, but we've had a lot of rain and wind lately. But
Okay.
Today is fantastic.
Well,
great day today.
I'm glad you have great weather. We have just a gray. It's tempered out, but it's gray, and can't decide whether it's going to rain. But I'm not going to complain about the weather.
No, there you go. That's good.
So you have a gig today.
I've got a gig today. Yes, I'm playing at a bar just down the road from me, about 5 or 6 minutes drive, Paroa Bar in Wonga Paroa, which of course Maori names. And I've been playing there for about 18 months, just as a trio mainly, although a couple of times we had 4 or 5 piece. But the last 6 months has just been a trio. And today is the last one I'm doing. Yeah. Well,
and now will the trio continue with another member, or is it
no?
You guys are all taking a break. Okay.
No, I'm not going to let them. I've got them under contract.
Okay. So excellent. Well, that's even better, man. I love to hear that. People listen to what he just said. If you're a young guy, pay attention to the contract. Always get that money up front.
Yeah, there you go. No, it's I've just decided that it's getting a bit hard work. I mean, I'll be 84 in a month's time, and the last couple of times we get home and all that, I'm knackered, and but I mean, I still enjoy playing. But it's just getting hard work, and playing once a month basically is really quite hard, and trying to keep up a bit of stamina for that once a month, So I've decided I'm going to let it go here, but it doesn't mean to say that I'm hanging up my sax or anything at all. I'll still
Great.
play a little bit at home. If somebody says, "Can you want to come along, play a couple of tunes somewhere?" That'll be great, you know.
Have you done any sessions down there with people via the internet?
No,
No.
no.
I would think you might be able to do very well, but you might just be tired of it. It might not be worth it to you. But there's always I learned about it in COVID. Just the fact that we're talking is a
Right.
miracle of technology. If you think about it, you know, you're 10,000 miles away. I think it's something like that, flying as the crow flies. So gosh,
Yeah.
we're sitting here yucking it up, and you're as far away almost as anybody can be. And like, I'm amazed your image is clear. It's rock solid.
Yeah,
We
the
have
picture's
shows here
great.
with people in Florida, Texas. I don't know if there's a reason, but
Yeah. No, the picture's great. Yeah.
so when you guys were playing out, what songs were you playing?
Oh, we play mostly standard sort of tunes on this gig that I'm doing. I have a couple of originals I play sometimes, but
Mhm.
mostly just standards, you know, Stella by Starlight, Days of Wine and Roses, Have You
Great.
Met Miss Jones, and a
Mhm.
couple of Charlie Parker blues or Sonny Rollins blues or something like
Nice.
that. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, do you find yourself listening to new bands? Have you heard of Snarky Puppy, American jazz band?
Yeah, I know. I've heard some of Snarky Puppy, and I spend a lot of time actually listening to Emmett Cohen and
Oh
the
yeah,
things
Emmett's
that he
great.
does.
What a tremendous
And,
band he has.
yeah, it's great, and also the things from Smalls. Like most evenings, I listen to whatever's on at Smalls in New York. You know, and
Sure,
there's some
sure.
great young players, people you'd never hear of, man. They're just, you know,
Well,
this guy.
you know, New York and LA are full of these incredibly talented people who aren't necessarily in the limelight, but they might be in the studios or gigging
Right,
every night. And I have
right.
a friend, Brian Charette, here. Hell, I'd like to connect you guys and have you play together. He's a B3 jazz player.
Oh yeah,
He's tremendous. You know,
right.
he
Yeah,
knows all the standards. He writes his own stuff. He just recorded at Rudy Van Gelder's place up in Englewood, New Jersey,
yeah, yeah,
where all those great acts and records came out of, you know, Charlie Parker and all that stuff.
yeah,
So he's a real McCoy, and
yeah,
I'm glad he's been very successful. He seems to be in a
yeah,
period of growth, which is always great. It's a lot more
yeah.
fun when you're rising up than when you're kind of on the downslide. I mean, I've been in bands that just faded away or couldn't die. Sometimes a couple of them need to be taken out behind the back door, the barn, and given the old Yeller treatment. But you know, it's
Yeah,
life's too short to play with a band that's not keeping you happy and feeling good. If you're not feeling good playing music, you definitely
yeah.
got the wrong band.
I spent some time playing with a Hammond B3 organ player. That was Georgie Fame
Okay,
from
wow.
England, you know, and he came out to New Zealand here about 3 times around 20 to 15 years ago.
Hmm.
And he's a great player, you know. He's not doing much at the moment, but
Sure.
so we toured around New Zealand a couple of times with a trio or a quartet
Hmm.
working with him. And yeah,
Excellent.
excellent, yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit. I know a lot about you, but my fans may not. Tell me a little bit about your period. How did you join Maynard? And how did you start? What first got you into music? Were you in the school band?
A school band, yeah. I played at school in a band, and through a couple of friends that liked a bit of jazz, I started listening to some things that they would play me, and we'd
Hmm.
get together and have listening sessions. And then in the school band, I learned the piano for 4 years from when I was 10 till about 14. And then I started hearing more Dixieland sort of things. I was really into the early music, like Armstrong's Hot 5-7, Jerome Morton, those sort of things. And I really liked the Eddie Condon bands.
Okay.
They were great. And
Hmm.
and then all of a sudden from there, and sort of in the, I don't know, 54, 55 something, I started hearing Miles Davis and John Coltrane and Sonny Rollins. Those sort of things were
You were
sort of,
living in England at that point, right?
no, I was here in New Zealand.
Oh, you were in New Zealand. Wow.
Yeah, I was only about 15 years old at the time I'm talking about, and I was working on a farm with my parents, you
Sure.
know, down in the middle of New Zealand. That's where I sort of came up, brought up on a farm, milking cows and all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
But
That's always fun. I'm glad you have a lot more. It's much more gainful employment as you get older playing sax. I've milked a cow. It's not glorious work.
no. So I did that for about a year and a half after I left school, then I moved to Auckland with a friend of mine. And I'd started playing the saxophone. I'd been playing for a couple of years then, and I got in a sort of a rock and roll bluesy band in Auckland, and did some work doing that sort of thing, which was great education. And just hanging out with other people that liked the same sort of music that we did. Any new Miles album came out, Monk, Freddie Hubbard, whatever.
Oh God, when I was a teenager, I was doing the same thing with the same kind of musical heroes.
Yeah.
I just sit. I was about 14 or 15 when that switch turned in my head from rock and roll all the time to doing big band and jazz. And of course, back then, Maynard Ferguson to me as a young person, when a friend of mine turned me on to him, probably the first thing I heard was you guys playing Chameleon. And I was familiar with the tune, and to hear it done with a big band, it was just so cool. I went, wow, these guys are amazing. And I was lucky to have a friend who knew more about you guys than I did.
Yeah. I've been playing some of Maynard's earlier albums I've got here from like with Birdland, Live at Birdland and Maynard 62 and those albums. We had his American band before he came to England and all that. And there's some great playing on some of that stuff, some great players in that band.
Were you with him on the English or the American band when you got
Well, I was on the English band and my phone's going again. Oh. Hang on. Okay. I'll just go and answer it. Don't worry. It's all right. Kim, I'll give you a ring back. Oh, busy. Cheers, man.
It happens.
Yeah, a friend of mine, another trumpet player.
That's good. You gonna have a bunch of friends out today?
Pardon?
You gonna have a bunch of friends out?
I hope so.
I hope so too.
I've got another trumpet player friend coming and playing with me, and some other people might turn up. I don't know.
Great.
But no, I was just in the English band from 1969, from when I went to England in '64, and I met who would become Maynard's manager. He ran a club in Manchester, Ernie Garside. Gotcha. And he was Maynard's manager through those times that you would have heard the band in the early '70s. And then after I left and Ernie left, there was another guy called Ed Sargent, who was still around, who was Maynard's manager right up till the end. So I spent from 1969 till about 65 on and off with Maynard over that period. And we spent quite a bit of time in the States, around that period.
I think Rick mentioned, did you play with Cilla Black?
Well, I think once in some show in England I did. And some backing band once.
I gotcha.
And Dusty Springfield, I did a concert
with that was it. Dusty Springfield is who he mentioned.
Yeah, at the Royal Albert Hall Festival, which is out on DVD, actually. You don't see much of the band, but we're there anyway.
Give it a listen. I'd love to hear it.
That was
I have to say, the thought of playing on the I played all kinds of some big rooms, but the thought of walking out on the Royal Albert Hall, to any musician, you got it. You may be good and you may have played a lot of shows, but to me, that's like going to meet the Queen. And it's like, wow, I'm here.
We played at Carnegie Hall in New York with Maynard too, so that was fantastic.
Sure.
Play there,
but you played at Birdland and stuff.
Not Birdland, no. Birdland was closed in those days. But Maynard used to earlier on. He played a lot of Birdland, quite often opposite Miles Davis and people like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I've never saw Miles live, which always disappointed me. I've seen video of him playing, but boy, one of a kind for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Very unique for his time period.
Yeah.
Interesting guy.
Miles.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Very influential. And he had quite a
lot of people, a lot of white kids sitting in the suburbs trying to figure that out,
Yeah. But no, I still go back and listen to a lot of that stuff, that quintet with Coltrane and then the one with Wayne Shorter and Herbie and that.
Oh yeah, that is just sublime stuff, really.
Yeah. That's the great stuff. Yeah.
So
anyway, today I'm just sort of sorting out a few tunes with a couple of people, but anything could happen. It could all change once you get there. Who knows?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I hope it does. I know you I don't want to keep you on too long because I know you have a gig. Would you mind to play us a little something? Give us a little saxophone treat while we're hanging.
Oh, well, just a minute. I'll put that down there.
There we go.
I'll find this here.
What kind of saxophone is that? A Selmer?
A Mark VI Selmer,
There you
1971.
go. That's
And I've had it
my
since
sax
new.
players had a couple of them. Beautiful and glorious horn.
I've had another one from about 62 that I had, and then I sold it, and I got this one. It's a 1971, and still playing great. And I've had it all the time. I've used it nearly all the time, except for about 5 years. Some people gave me a saxophone to try for a while, but I went back to this one. And,
gotcha. Here we go, people. Oh man, that is just to me, it's like
that's Sonny Rollins' Alfie.
It's killer. It was just excellent. I knew I'd heard it, and that was brilliant.
Yeah, from that movie Alfie.
Right.
Sonny Rollins did in the
1965 or something.
Oh no, about late 60s. Yeah, late 60s. A little bit later. Yeah, 69 or somewhere around.
All right. I know that my mom watched it and heard and played that music because I recognized the melody, you know. I'm fortunate my mom had decent taste in music compared to the rest of our family. She was a superb stage mom, and that she'd ride me to my band practice with the bass player and drums and kit all loaded in the car. She'd, head uptown, drop me off.
Yeah.
So you have any, before we go, what would you tell a young musician today?
Listen,
they want to be a horn player in today's world.
Yeah, well, first of all, practice some scales, get a sound, think of a sound, but listen to all the great players that have been. You can go way back, go back and study the history of the instrument. If it's a saxophone, well, whatever it is, Lester Young, Coleman Hawkins, all those sort of people, Don Bias, and just listen to stuff because you pick up the people that you like, certain sounds you get. And anyway, I mean, you're never going to sound like anyone else, really. If you put enough time in, you'll get some sort of sound of your own out of it. As all the great players have, when you hear, you only have to play 2 or 3 notes, and you say, "Oh man, that's Wayne Shorter, or that's Joe Lovano, or whatever."
Sure.
And they develop a sound of their own, and it comes through just years of playing with all sorts of people in different situations.
That's what Jerry Vivino says as well.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Jerry?
No, I'm not. No.
He was the horn player with the Conan O'Brien band, him and his brother. His brother's the guitar player and B3 guy, and they're just both. They came out of Glen Rock, New Jersey. There's actually a movie about their band teacher, about all the great jazz players that came out of that school. Now, unfortunately, I grew up in a town called Wyckoff, adjacent there, and I never knew how great the band program was there.
Right.
I look back at it and I go, God, I wish we're all the same age. I said I would have loved to have had that band director at the time, because the band director we had was pretty lame. I hate to say it,
I mean, the first thing that grabs you about music is the sound. That's the thing. You hear something, you say, "Oh, listen to that sound." It's not the notes if someone's playing. It's a sound that grabs you. Oh, I like that. And then you get into it and hear what they're doing and how they approach the music and that. But it's always a sound thing. Very important.
Sure.
That's why all the great players had a their own sort of unique sound, and they're still developing. Young guys coming out here now, playing. I heard someone at Smalls last night. I've forgotten his name now.
I think the level of music education has come up and gotten better, because there is a lot of young players. And even 15, 20 years ago, there was kind of a lag. And like even in music schools, there's not as many horn players wanting to do it.
Yeah,
Um,
but there seem to be there's people coming up all the time, even here. There's one or two young
right.
guys in New Zealand and Australia and in New York
Sure.
or in the States that they're coming out all the time.
Absolutely. We have a friend down there, Doug DeYoung. He's a guitar player.
Yeah.
He's incredible. He's down in Brisbane,
Oh
and
yeah.
he's just tremendous. He's a music teacher at school. He
Right.
came to the States, and he had Steve Vai, a guitar player from Frank Zappa's band, produce him.
I know that name. Yeah.
Yes, and he's a very fine player, and he's like one of these young guys came to America, and every guitar player here is like, "Wow, where did this guy come from?" Because he's just
Yeah.
he even had Steve Vai asking him to show him a lick, which that's always the ultimate. I think knowing you've kind of possibly figured you've made it. You
Yeah.
got one of your heroes asking you to show him something you're doing. That's just that's like priceless life experience.
Yeah, I mean that's all I had when I was young. A couple of people said, "Oh, why don't you just try this? Try that. Or here's a little exercise. Work on that for a bit and
Mhm.
things. But in the end, a lot of what you do, you do teach yourself in a way. And
Sure.
but of course these days you can get a bit of quicker help to get through things a little quicker than what I could because there was nothing around really when I started.
Right.
You just had to listen, but
Well,
you can get
we didn't have YouTube. Even now, we can get on there and watch Max Roach playing drums or Miles playing a horn, and
yeah.
there's so much like learning for a band. Even you give them a song list, and they'll get on YouTube, and
That's right. Yeah,
It's
so much to learn. Listen to all those guys still. Really. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
well. I hope you have a great gig tonight, and
Yeah.
I wish I was there. And hell, if I was in New Zealand, I'd figure out with this great feed, I'd be streaming it back here. So um, I look forward to having you on again, and maybe who knows? Maybe one of these days I'll try and send you a track and see if you'd be kind enough to play on it. We'll talk about it when I have a song worth sending you.
Okay. All right. Right.
And,
Well, I appreciate it, Neil, getting another chance to have of course, Rick keeps putting stuff up all the time.
Rick is great. In fact, I invited him to be on. I think he has family obligation today because his daughter's getting married next week.
He's always putting stuff up, to do with Maynard and all that,
He is absolutely. He knows more about Maynard than Maynard's close family at times, I think.
Yeah.
But he's a hell of a good guy, and I'm glad because he introduced me to you. Albeit I'd been listening to Maynard, but now I'm scrutinizing all the players that have come. Now that you've filled me in on the story of the band, I feel like, okay, I know something I didn't know before, how it worked out. So I do appreciate you taking the time. If we hung, we'd have a great hang. It would be fun.
That's right.
Play some music. I got all kinds of things to go bump in the night, and I love playing with I don't care who it is. You got a piano, a saxophone, even a trumpet. If you can't make some music with a drummer, the drummer's no good, I think,
Yeah.
Or he's just not very imaginative, is what I'd say.
Right. Yeah.
Well, all right. Let me see. I have a couple of comments here. Just where are they? Oh, hey, we have someone from Sweden. Hello, Pontius. Hello from Sweden. You're the name of the great high register trumpet player, Maynard Ferguson. Pontius, I don't speak Sweden, so I'll speak like Americans. We're speaking your accent, and I'll tell you, this is not Maynard Ferguson. This is his saxophone player.
Yeah.
A damn good one. Anyhow, hello, Liliana. It's very nice. This isn't the time my show usually comes on, folks. So I will tell you guys who just came on, I've never seen y'all before, and I'm glad you're here. We're on Fridays at 10 a.m., and that is Eastern Standard Time, New York City, baby. And we're on at 4 p.m. New York City time or 1 p.m. Los Angeles time. And for those who haven't seen the show ever, we're on every Friday, regardless of the weather, whether we're sick. I've come in looking like, I've never had monkeypox, but I would have figured out a way. I probably would have worn a mask. All I can tell you is I'm certified monkeypox proof. So for all of you out there worried about such things, just call me. I have a font of wisdom.
Oh, God.
All right, people. We've been on with Brian Smith. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Neil.
Merry Christmas down under.
Yeah, you too. Merry Christmas, all that. And
right.
and thanks for doing the interview.
Thank you for doing it. I probably will call you again because, hell, I just like learning new stuff. You're a good guy, man. Have a happy holiday.
Cheers. All the best to you. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye now.